meeting, the Cohasset Planning Board from November 20th, 2024. Alphabetical roll call, please.
Clark
And
Brewer.
after we have our business,
Here.
then you can talk about anything you'd like. All right,
That's okay.
here, Tom Callahan's here.
Kevin Hine here.
Deirdre Hobson here.
And Birgit Wittwäsche here.
I'm joined by Cassandra Thayer, our town planner. You're not joined by Amy Glassmeyer, nor are we going to have Carolyn Murray with us tonight. Do we have anybody from the applicant here?
You do.
Well, let's bring them forward. And if you could share your screen with your draft decision.
Yes. Once I have.
Well, we're here tonight. The only item we have on our agenda is to issue our decision on 82 Border Street. We closed the hearing last time, so we're not taking any more evidence or commentary.
Adam, do you need anybody else from your team this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Adam Brodsky for Cole Lobster LLC. I was not anticipating any questions since the hearing is closed, but I do have people available if you need them to speak.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
All right.
You know, Tom, in addition, we are, as a board, during deliberations in making the decision, allowed to ask the applicant certain questions related to the project. Not that I expect we would have any.
Sure. All right, so Cassandra, if you could show us the draft decision you came up with it. And for the life of me, whatever I thought I emailed to Cassandra 2 weeks ago, I can't find, so. Dodged a bullet, Adam.
This
don't
is
think-
self-storage facility. in the
Oh,
project?
well, thank you.
No,
Nope.
I'll
this
fix
is,
that.
all right, yeah, what is this one? Oh,
The
so-
hotel.
This is not for the self-storage facility. This is for the hotel.
But it
That
just-
that needs to be
That's
edited.
just an edit, probably left over from the last one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's left over from the last one.
All right,
happens
so
all the
there's,
time.
there's the usual boilerplate. We don't have to look at all of that stuff, but
Do we have specific conditions that we
well,
should
we have,
discuss in
we have
detail?
our requisite findings under the section of the bylaw dealing with site plan review.
Yes, but is there anything specific to the project?
Yeah, there's a
that we
couple of
should
things,
discuss?
Cassandra, and like I said, I had thought of something 2 weeks ago. There were 2 conditions. I think they had to do with parking. And I can't for the life of me remember them. Can't find them. What, I thought I sent an email and hit send. It's not even a draft anywhere. Can't find it, so. And I can't get it back in my head. I was sidetracked by a trial, so my brain was wiped out, so. But Cassandra did put in a condition about right here, this number 1, which I think was along the lines of something I was thinking of. That in the event of a storm event, since the property has the potential of flooding, that the guest vehicles all be moved out of there. Now specifically, it says the MBTA lot in North Situate.
Does it have to be North Situate? Does it matter?
That was my thought. It doesn't matter. They just have to be out of there. you
Yeah.
know. And they can't just be dumped onto Border Street either, so. Maybe we could reword that to. Shall relocate guest vehicles on the property. Off-site and off Border Street.
Chair Callahan, I drafted that language, and if you look at the last sentence, it anticipates alternatives if we're not able to use the MBTA parking.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
all
very
Is-
good.
Are you drafted this? Oh,
Yes.
then
I
you
can't
can-
take credit for that language. That is
Okay, no,
directly from
that's
Adam.
fine. That's fine. And I think I thought, like I said, I think one of my conditions was along the same lines about relocating somewhere. So that's fine. That's fine. And then any change in configuration, size, use shall be considered a major modification. That's subject to getting all the other necessary permits, the 2-year limit for this permit, et cetera. So there really, other than that, removing things off site for a flood, there really isn't anything unique to this project in this draft. So I don't know if anybody's thought of anything else or is concerned about anything else. I think one of the other things that I might have wanted to address was deliveries, but, I'm gonna guess that, there's gonna be occasions where not all 9 spots are filled. A delivery truck could pull in. I think, maybe something to the extent that when possible, a delivery truck should be parked on site while making the deliveries as opposed to being on Border Street and blocking traffic. So I don't know if that's a way to word that in there. So.
Well, they should block access on their own property to their own parking spaces, not block access.
Yeah, no, that's the point, is
Thoroughly.
that when, something to the extent of whenever possible, all delivery trucks shall be parked on site and shall not block parking spaces or traffic on Border Street. And that, again, the limits of what we can do under site plan review and the conditions we can set, I think that's reasonable to say that.
Run that language by me again. So
Alright,
whenever
so,
possible, all delivery vehicles. shall be
Whenever
parked.
possible, all delivery vehicles will be parked on site during deliveries and shall avoid blocking parking spaces and traffic flow on Border Street. Right? Does anybody else have anything? Again, within the limits of site plan review. Traffic.
I don't have anything else.
Traffic, circulation, landscaping, anything of that nature. If not, then, Adam, is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. You're okay with what I just said, I assume?
Yes, that's why we have a loading zone on the property and we have no interest in blocking traffic.
Okay, good. All right, well then, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve this decision.
Second,
All right, I'll make the motion and she seconded. All right, then, all in favor, alphabetical?
Clark Brewer, aye.
Tom Callahan, aye.
Kevin Heine, aye.
Deirdre Hobson, I.
And Birgit, you can vote.
Okay, Birgit Schmidt-Becher, aye.
Okay, great. All right, well then that's it.
Thank you very much. If I don't speak with you before, have a lovely Thanksgiving holiday.
Thanks.
All
Good
right.
luck with your project.
Okay, and give me a call at my office tomorrow. It's something completely different.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. All right, so for the board, we don't have any minutes to do tonight. We will, right now, Cassandra reports that there's the possibility of an A&R coming in on the 4th. If not, it'll be on December 18th. Assuming everything at town meeting goes smoothly and we're moving things into regulations, there will be a whole new set of zoning bylaw regulations to look at, to approve on the 18th. It's reforming all of it. And the plan of having one volume with all the different land use boards regulations in one spot is just too cumbersome to deal with, so we're not dealing with it. So we'll just look at zoning related regulations. And right now it's almost done. I'm just trying to incorporate the subdivision control regs that we have, which is like 30 some odd pages long, into the document that I'm doing. So that's where I am. So you'll get that well enough in advance.
Tom, are you anticipating just a review of those subdivision regulations on the 18th, or?
I prefer the public hearing, but we can review them on the 4th if we need to, you know, people want to talk about them before we have a public hearing, that's fine.
Well, the reason I ask is that if we're going to advertise for a public hearing on the 18th,
Yeah,
we'd need to advertise it 2 weeks in advance, which means we need like a final draft at the date of the advertisement.
all right, you'll have the final draft by Friday.
Okay.
And I'll just circulate it to everybody. I'm gonna circulate it to the zoning board as well, because it affects some of the regs deal with their permitting processes as well, but, other things, there was a rumor from an abutter that I got about Jerusalem Road Estates putting in a new subdivision plan, but Carolyn says she hasn't seen anything, so, but, you know, that's one of their options, of course, is just to start over. And then the other thing that's percolating is, Rust Way and abutter, I don't know if he circulated that email to everybody, copied everybody on it, but there's a project where there's a proposal for a pickleball court that would remove surface ledge. I'm told there's somewhat of a dispute about the applicability of the special permit bylaw, but John Hallen and Cassandra and this board are taking the position that a special permit application will need to be filed, so we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for bringing the Whitehead Road to our attention. I was completely unaware of that one. And I don't know if there's anything else anybody's heard, rumors, innuendo.
I'll just point out that you can see the Whitehead Road, just looking to your left or right, driving from Jerusalem. Leaves are off now and you can see the open space, the gap, based on what the work that's been done, the clearing, the associated building removal.
Is it the house that's on the right side as you're going out Whitehead Road?
Yeah, as you're heading north on Whitehead, it's on the right. Up on
Yeah,
the,
that was the
And-
one story house. The owner died, I think,
Yeah.
more than a year ago, I think. So,
Yeah. And I guess the woman who owns it now is in her 70s, according to some of the neighbors.
Yeah.
And she's, according to some of the neighbors, she has big plans. I don't know what that means, but
Well,
there's
yeah,
a lot of blasting going on. So, and she put the developer, for whoever's doing the building, put this huge sign up right at the end of Whitehead by their mailboxes. And all the neighbors were objecting because when they came to turn out on Jerusalem, it was blocking their view. So apparently somebody had spoke with the developer and he was gonna take it down today. I don't know if it did. He claims it was there for safety reasons. Not sure what safety reasons, a huge sign with a picture of the house and all of that would have to.
It just still
Anyway.
astounds me that the developer can come in, even if he's not someone who works in Cohasset regularly, can just come in and think they can just start doing things without asking questions and
Yeah,
seeing if there's any permits that are needed, you know.
Yeah.
and Tom, just you brought up pickleball courts and no relation to anything that you were referring to, but if you drive down Cedar Street these days after dark, with the addition of the new courts that I think are different from the enclosed courts, everything's lit up now and it's significant lighting. And if pickleball courts are within our purview, is it because of the ledge and or the clearing and or, you know, can we concern ourselves with regard to lighting around those issues like we would anything else that would come in front of us?
Well, you know, when the judge was still working with us and I forget which section of the bylaw it was, maybe it was Article 4, or we dealt with lighting, I thought, quite a bit. We discussed it, and I don't know that we made a ton of changes to what we require in terms of height and everything like that. But we ought to take a look at what we did on lighting.
Yeah. So I think what I'm seeing now on Cedar Street, I mean, they are athletic courts, so there's certain lighting you need for that, but now there's paved parking associated with them as well. It's just this whole complex. It's putting out so much illumination.
Mm.
You know,
That belongs to the golf club, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose fortunate for them, there's not too many people who live right near that, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I mean,
You need to
you
make
could
sure
be
it
in
complies.
a neighborhood, some distance away, and under the right conditions, you would still be impacted by that lighting. Cause there's so much directed down that would reflect up, even off a dark pavement. And under the right conditions, you know, you could get an illuminated sky type thing that would affect your neighborhood if you even were some distance away. So it's just a perfect example of the ability for lighting to cheaply over illuminate an area. And even with shielding and the proper directional control, it creates spillage and impacts to areas outside the intended targets. Just put it out there. It's
Yep,
now,
yeah,
now that we
alright.
turn the clocks back and it gets dark as early as it is and the weather's still mild enough,
Alright,
people
good.
might notice that. Certainly you will. Hard not to if you drive past it.
Cassandra, if you and John could take a look at whatever changes we made to lighting in the bylaw a year ago. And see if there's an issue there. Yeah,
I
did
have
you-
another, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yep, I have another light. I mentioned that at our meeting last week, and when that pertains to the harbor project, when you come, the light that comes from the light fixtures, not from the poles. And Cassandra, we had a brief, kind of email exchange there. There are poles on the parking and so on, but there are light fixtures all around the building and across where the garage is and where the shop is going to be. And they are super bright. And they are, for my taste, kind of bright to the extent that they blind me when I drive up Elm Street, because I just have a, kind of low sedan. And it just, kind of is right into my face. And the fixtures per se, they don't have enough of, kind of capping on top. They just have a very, very small, kind of topping area there. And then they shine out to kind of all around, and there are a lot of those lights, and I think they don't need to turn them off at all. I've never seen them off, no matter what time I come by, and that's my regular way home. So
Yeah, please.
They're off during the day. They're on a light sensor or something. They come on when it starts to get dark and then turn off when it gets light out in the morning.
maybe, but that's not what they should be doing. I mean, they are really illuminating the entire area there to all sides. And I mean, it
Well,
can
that's-
bother the neighbors, but it can also, it does create, kind of light pollution up quite a bit. So
I don't know what we approved, but I'll take a look at it and see. Sometimes, some cases you put general illumination on motion, and it just comes on when it's needed.
yeah, Cassandra and okay, sorry, Tom.
No, I want to just cautionary, the one thing we do with the zoning bylaw, and I think we did formally put it into the changes we made a year ago about lighting, is we make things dark sky compliant. We're worried about the light going,
That's-
not out sideways. And, as far as how bright it is, that's not a zoning issue. That might be a building code issue, but it's not a zoning issue. And we're not going to regulate how bright a bulb is.
Okay,
Well, it doesn't hurt to get some perspective on light fixtures that sort of work or disruptive to
No,
an area. And so I think Birgit's point is important. Not that we're going to change it on the project.
Right, but and Brigitte, we do, I mean, and Clark usually takes the lead on this and discussing light fixtures at almost every project we do, a large home or anything that's got a new building, we do tend to focus on the fixtures and ask questions and look for a sketch of what they're gonna use and
It's one of the 4 points for a large home review.
Yeah, lighting is, but usually it focuses on dark sky compliance, not necessarily.
The other
how
thing,
long during the night it's on.
the other thing,
Those-
Tom, and
Mhm.
Birgit, is what lamp is in there, how many watts, and whether it's warm or cold can make a big difference in terms of perception, whether you like it or you don't like it, or whether it still works to provide safety lighting when needed.
Cassandra and I had a brief exchange on that subject, and as far as I remember, Cassandra, you were saying there was no lighting plan, except for the poles, but you know, kind of for all of the fixtures, the exterior and external fixtures, there was not. Is that correct?
As far as I could tell, looking back in the files, the lights were indicated like on the site plan and whatnot, but there wasn't like a photometric plan.
Yeah,
And
it
no-
may be that just the civil engineering plan, pole lighting got picked up in the approval.
Yeah, and on the Main Street, South Main Street project, we focused on the poles as well, but not too much on the light fixtures are gonna be attached to the building, so. I mean, there's just, my point is just, they're good points to bring up, and we do discuss lighting at length in lots of
Good.
projects, but it's just, there's a limit to what that,
Right,
how do you
money
address
made.
that in a zoning bylaw as opposed to a building code, you know? So-
Well, you know, Tom, that the storage place, I thought there was some discussion about
We did.
that there's not supposed to be rear illumination of the brand that's 2.5 stories high on that existing storage building that comes on every night. You know, if we're not doing it, no one else is doing it. So if we've got regulations in place, and I don't know if we do or don't, Tom, but I heard some reference that that wasn't supposed to be the case with what we have now with the storage.
No, in
Building that's
commercial-
built.
On commercial buildings, we don't allow lit neon signs, but we allow backlit signs. So
Oh.
like the Stop and Shop was the first time this came up, and it was the first time I think it was applied. The Stop and Shop, rather than being a bright red neon sign, is a maroon sign that's backlit at night. You see the outline of the word Stop and Shop, but you don't see it glaring at you in bright red like you would in another community. That's, as far as I know, that's all we have about commercial signage, and we don't, you know, and we went over it again with the judge, and we reaffirmed that when we made the changes in the bylaw that, you know, you can't have a lit sign. You know, a fully lit sign, it can be.
Maybe the
backlit.
storage one is lit. Maybe it is actually illuminated, not just from
Maybe it
behind,
should
but
be.
the sign itself is lit, like you can
Well-
see through the lettering.
That shouldn't happen. It's not supposed to be a neon, you know, internally lit sign. That's been in the bylaw again, since going back to when Stop and Shop was built, which is 30-something years ago now, so.
But these
And,
points
you know,
are
but
good
that-
and I'm glad to
these
hear them.
these things, you know, and the same thing about catching what's going on Whitehead Road. These are enforcement issues. You know, and the 6 of us, 7 of us are amateurs, you know, with full-time jobs elsewhere, you know, we can't always be the enforcement police. We have somebody for that, and so, you know, Cassandra, again, bring all these to John's attention, and, you know, if that storage facility's got a sign that's in violation, then let's deal with it.
Yeah, it's just,
I'll
it's
make- I'll make-
interesting, Cassandra, because I have a person I work with who lives down there, and she came to me. She said, "Now, when did you see that?" I said, "We haven't seen that property." She's assuming that we have had something to do with it, or zoning has, and, you know, they don't quite understand that,
Hmm.
well, if it doesn't fall in our purview, we don't know anything about it, really. So there's a lot of that frustration that comes out in the community. So I tried to steer them to talk to John. I said I would check it out, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, as you were conversing, I briefly looked at the plans that were submitted for the building permit. It looks like most of the ledge removal is in association with the house that is planned to be built, which is an exempt use. I did email John to ask him to just double check it and look into it within his inspections to confirm that.
Okay.
And I CC'd you, Tom, that way you can get the response as well.
Okay, right. All right, anything else? It's open mic night,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay. Let's see.
Second.
Who's your buddy?
It's my buddy. Hi, sweetie.
This is Lucy Goose.
All right.
Somebody wants to go to bed.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
All right, well, so we have a motion to adjourn. Second, anyone?
Second,
Second, can I second my motion?
All in favor?
Clark Brewer, aye.
Tom Callahan, aye.
Kevin Heine, aye.
Deirdre Hobson, I.
Birgit Schmidt shy.
Okay, we'll see you on the 4th, possibly, if not, at town meeting on the 9th.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Good night,
Thanksgiving.
everyone.
All right, happy
You
Thanksgiving.
too. Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Good night, all.